To 3D Printed Life here, and I'm watching this incredibly depressing playoffs game right now.
Yeah, let me get back to printing.
So there should be a commercial soon, so I'm going to make this video because I haven't had too much time lately with me and my roommate both being on basically the same co-op schedule. I don't want to record while he's in here because that would be pretty weird. So yeah. So I got all kits and stuff all laid out up here and here. I still have quite a bit of work to do on them, but I do hope to be rearranging the extrusions and getting all that stuff sorted out by tomorrow night so that I can get at least like 2 or 3 kits out. The last 3 will have to wait probably a little bit longer just because I'm still printing parts, as you can see. Now for the printer, not much has changed since the last video. I did get some new stuff though, some new toys. First of all, I got this LCD display. Unfortunately, the connector's for like a ramps board, so I have to make my own connector essentially to plug it into the printer board. Should be interesting. I also got I made a Bowden extruder. I got a little Bowden thing for the E3D, and I have some BTFE tubing here, so I'm eventually going to convert this over to Bowden. Once I'm done printing these parts for the batch, because I don't want to be in the middle of printing when I switch it over, just in case something goes wrong. That would obviously be bad. That's, I think, all the new stuff for this printer. Got a bunch of parts in here, some of it's sorted out, some of it isn't. But the really fun stuff happens here. Now this is for an experimental, still thinking about if I want to do it or not, printer that I may or may not be creating next summer. What I basically want to do is do a complete overhaul of the 3-up, sort of like what I did with the 2-up, except it will look pretty similar, but it will be mainly just huge performance increases all across the board. What I hope to do is convert it to a single threaded rod in the back, in the center, space out two linear rods on either side, a bit further apart, so that it offers better reduction against like twisting. Then have a flexible coupling and the motor hooked up directly, because that should give significantly better Z printing. It's really good right now. There's almost zero banding, but there's still a tiny bit of visible in certain circumstances, so it's always good to get rid of all that. For the main mechanics, I plan on completely scrapping all of the hardware that came with a 2-up, other than electronics and motors and stuff like that, which means these M8 linear rods are no good. They flex too much for this distance, and I just don't really like them. So what I got here is a nice M10 rod, and holy crap, so much thicker. Game's back on, so hopefully I don't miss too much. Yeah, anyway, these are so much thicker, so much more rigid, a bit heavier, not too much, but that doesn't really matter. Main point is they resist bending a whole lot more, which is awesome, so that when I throw them on here and on here, it won't be so likely to give those slight ripple effects that you may see in prints from the 3-up and most other 3D printers. To be fair, just about all of them produce that rippling because it's so hard to get rid of it. In addition to new rods that are thicker, these M10 ones, I also plan on using bushings to make it a ton wider, because at the moment the majority of the noise from the 3-up is from those linear bearings. Not necessarily the bearing's motion, but the fact that they're made really cheaply and the balls inside tend to vibrate at certain speeds, which makes really obnoxious, loud noises. These bushings are essentially just copper or bronze tubes that slide over the rods, and because of how they're treated or something along those lines, they slide really smoothly and make a whole lot less noise. If I lift it up here, well, you get the idea. It's hard to do it with one hand, but yeah, it's very quiet. Really no drawbacks other than the fact that it is less smooth when you're applying a torsional pressure. So if you're twisting it and going along this rail, it's not quite as smooth as a linear bearing would be, but I'm not going to be using it for that purpose. I'm going to be using linear bearings on the Z-axis and bushings on the XY axis. And finally, along with these bushings, I plan on having 2 of them in each piece or for each rod, so a bushing here and here for each rod piece, basically. But anyway, the final thing I plan to do for this guy is to go Core XY with the belt setup. Right now it's HBot. HBot tends to leave some very small artifacts when doing straight lines. Really not that bad at all. But like if you look in there, I don't want to destroy my phone. It's not good. Actually, you can't even see it right there. It's just, it makes the surface a tiny bit less smooth. Core XY just makes it so you get a smoother surface and you can do faster motions without worrying about any sort of problems printing. So yeah, that is my next big project, which will be next summer. I don't know if I'm going to sell them or not, or anything like that yet. Don't ask. Still figuring that out. But it is something that I do want to do because it would cost only like $100 or so for me to upgrade. I'll be keeping the frame and everything the same print size and all that, just a very, very major performance overhaul. So that'd be something cool to try out. Additionally, that would allow for other people to expand it much more easily, because right now, because of these thinner rods and because of the HBot, you really can't expand the printer too much in either the X or Y direction. You can, but your results may not be nearly as good. With the thicker rods and the Core XY, you could definitely expand it further. Plus, the reduced noise would just be a huge benefit. It's already much quieter than the 2-up, but I want to get even quieter. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the printer. There was one other thing I wanted to mention, but I can't think of it right now. So what can you do? So that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching. I'm going to get back to this terrible game and hopefully not cry too much. I will catch you all later.